Welcome to the Cowtown Cats Lacrosse Podcast, where we talk all things Panther City Lacrosse Club. Now here are your hosts, Nicholas and Andy.
It was another hard-fought game this time in the city of brotherly love as Panther City took on the Philadelphia Wings. Welcome everyone, this is the Cowtown Cats Lacrosse Podcast. I am Nicholas, joined by Andy.
Hello, this is Andy.
And Panther City, they were on their road game number 3 on this long stretch of away games, coming off a hard loss last week against Rochester. We were kind of watching this game to see how they would kind of bounce back from that really hard loss against Rochester and try to get back on the winning side of things. And going out east is never an easy thing to do, especially when you're used to being in Central Time Zone. But going out that way, it almost kind of having that week between Rochester beating them that bad almost gave them a reason to come out and say, hey, you know what, we can't let that happen again. And that was something we had questioned even last time going over this, getting ready for this game, was what they would do, how would they respond to that loss. But yeah, this was Philadelphia's first home game since last March. They ended last season with a bunch of road games. They started this season with a bunch of road games. So it was their home opener for this season. And then before the game even started, we knew that obviously with Fox coming in as a new addition to Panther City, I was kind of wondering if they would have him start, but I think they pulled the right move and just kind of inserted him from time to time, let him get used to the team, let him get used to just how they work. But so the game started, and right off the bat, I mean, Jonathan Donville, he was like, "Hey, I'm gonna score first. So, you can't hold the rookie back right now."
Yeah, less than 2 minutes in, it put us up to a great start. Unfortunately, Philly scored less than 10 seconds after that.
It was like the next face off, and then right away they scored to tie it back up. Kind of a downer, an up and down kind of scenario, but it was good. But even then, even that first quarter, kind of the attitude of the team felt a little bit different. It seemed like the defense was a little bit more active. It seemed like the offense was trying to get more shots off, and we had even mentioned, early on, it seemed like a lot of those shots, even though they were from the outside, like still shooting is good, but a lot of them were getting blocked. So credit to Philadelphia's defense, especially in that first quarter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they started off the game much more aggressive than in the game against Rochester, and that didn't lead to goals early on, but having that sort of mentality to begin with definitely helped them in the second half.
Oh yeah, and of course, we had mentioned a few episodes back that there's probably not a game so far. Well, there's been one game so far this season without a fight, and sure enough, about 5 minutes in or something like that, there was a scrum right in front of the benches, and it actually sent Donville and Gaucher, the two rookies, to the penalty box for 5 minutes. And even though Panther City wasn't down people, I mean, it was still 5-on-5 because even Philadelphia lost 2 of their players. It almost kind of took the air out of the team for a second because you have these 2 explosive rookies and now they're both on the bench for 5 minutes.
Yeah, they're both key cogs of our offense. So when you remove 2 guys like that, who knows? Maybe that's what pressed Fox into earlier duty than he otherwise would have been in his first game over here.
Oh yeah, well, and they took advantage of that because during that 5 minutes they actually scored twice. So that's how they kind of came back to in the first quarter. They were up 3-1. Quick side note on that first quarter though. I mean, we were both there. We were watching. Damoud had an amazing save that he stopped the ball and it was starting to roll behind him, and he had just the wherewithal just to like turn around and be like, there it is, and swat it back out.
Yeah, it was a great save, and I'll be honest, I had to watch the replay because it's like, oh man, I don't think he got that one. Oh no, he did. Nice.
Yeah,
good job.
Well, and you'd even question. You're like, I think it was on the line, and I was like, no, I don't think so. And sure enough, they took a look at it, and it was like right on the edge, and he was able to get it out there. So Damoud, and again, even though he allowed 3 goals in that first quarter, he was it was good to see him back in shape, into form, honestly. So, the second quarter started, and I had in our notes two goals in the second quarter seemed to go in, and they got called back. The first one, Phil Caputo on a power play, comes around on, I want to say the left side. Yeah, came around on the left side from behind, shot it, and like they reviewed the play and everything, and it looked like the ball had like came in, and of course it dropped into the goal afterwards, but it wasn't like he was already in the crease by that point,
Hmm.
and so they had to review it. I don't know. Again, we were both watching it. What did you think when we saw that replay on that goal?
It definitely helped me clarify the rules, just because like you're realizing it's not so much like when he crosses the plane as when he lands, I believe it was, and
Hmm.
his body landed before the ball crossed over, unfortunately. So it was a great effort. It's got to be deflating when he put that much energy and effort into attempting a good shot and he
Right.
gets wiped away. Just a matter of a few seconds,
Well,
like
and
fractions of a
even
second.
yeah, even the review itself, they came out and said there just wasn't, like, I was watching the replay and they were like, inconclusive evidence. I'm like,
Yeah, because didn't they call it a goal originally?
they no they didn't at first, but then they, I believe, Panther City like challenged it.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
So had they called it a goal originally and
Hmm.
Philly challenged it, it might have gone our way due to the
Right.
inconclusivity.
Inconclusive evidence. But there was that one, and then Gaucher made a shot, and it was
Yeah,
right
yeah.
when the shot clock expired. He got a rebound, and he like threw it back in, and right when it left his stick, like the shot clock went off. And I was like,
Hmm.
man, that's two goals. I mean, it really kind of showed you, hey, Panther City really wants to make a statement this game and try to get those offensive boards. But yeah, so they, unfortunately, two goals we missed out on. Daymood, I put this in there. Daymood had another like great save where he had to reach behind and kind of swat it away.
Hmm.
He was, again, I was after the last game where he got pulled and kind of sat out the rest of the game. I was glad to see him kind of reinvigorated and really wanting to, play his best defense out there. But of course, we couldn't hold him back long enough. Towards the end of the first half, Philadelphia scored actually twice before the end of the half, and we were down 6-2 at halftime. And even then, I kind of thought, because we had talked about this previously, is this going to be another one of those games where we get down and we have a hard time? Like, we can come back here and there, but are we going to have a hard time getting back into the game to the point where we have a chance to win? We had talked about it with Rochester. We got so far down to the point where we didn't even know how to get back into the game.
Yeah. Well, I gotta say, it must have been one awesome halftime speech that Coach TK gave the guys because they came out firing in that third quarter.
Oh my gosh. So yeah, after halftime, yeah, something happened. He said something. Even even one of the players, I think, after the game, it was like, oh, teach Coach TK. He came in there, he said some words, and we all got ready to go for the second half. But yeah, second half, uh, it was just it was a different mindset. It's like, yeah, we're down, but we're not out. And like within the first minute, yeah, 53 seconds in, Phil Caputo, bam, score. And then like our defense was playing more aggressive. They were going after balls. They were going after the players. They were It's almost like a half court pressure, and I think we've talked about this maybe in their first or second game, but whenever they have that half court pressure or the half field pressure where they go after them and kind of put them in a tough spot and they end up getting turnovers, I think that's the best defense I've seen from them in a while.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. Since the well, felt like the beginning of the season, really.
mhm. Well, yeah, and it almost started feeling like they were playing the game that they should have been playing in some of these previous games. Uh, yeah, third quarter. I mean, our defense is playing better. We get some goals in there. We actually pulled within one goal, and kept it close. And even Philadelphia, kept it pretty close. They only scored once, but we were able to chip back a little bit at a time on that score and got it back to the point where we actually ended up tying at the end of the third, uh, like you said, it was just kind of a different feel in that third quarter.
Yeah, like they had a pretty good energy level throughout the game, but something in the third just really kicked things up a notch with the aggression and then shots actually starting to fall. It was a
Hmm.
great game by both goalies throughout, but something about Panther City's, I guess, attitude and
Hmm.
intensity was able to they kept applying the pressure and made less mistakes than they had in the first half.
They took that what would you call it, that next step in the direction that we were hoping they would do even earlier on in this season. Um, and yeah, so ended third quarter tied 7-7, and then the fourth quarter it was like the closest game you could ask for.
Yeah, that was
Gaucher,
nerve-wracking.
yeah, Gaucher comes out and he scores, puts us up 8-7, and then I believe if I remember right, um, like we scored again, but then they scored to be
Hmm.
like 9-8, and then finally, finally, we scored double digits in a game, which I know we have before this year, but it just seemed like forever since the last time we did it. And I put in there, yeah. I mean, we even joked about like we scored 10, and the people who were doing the scoreboard on the TV, like it didn't fit, so they had to like space bar it over.
Yeah. They had it. You could tell it's just like working in like Photoshop or an art program. You could just see them like gradually nudging it until you could see the entire zero of the 10. It's pretty amusing.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like I said, I don't think they believed we could have made double digits. So they're like, this score will be fine. They're not going to get 10 points. But yeah, I mean, we got 10 points during that short run of scoring back and forth. Will Malcolm ended up with a hat trick right there. Again, Daymood was still playing really good, and then this is why I feel like this is probably our best complete game we've had so far this year. Not so much like you can say, oh well, we had a great complete game against Las Vegas at Las Vegas where we beat them. What it was by like 8 points or something like that.
Yeah, that was a beginning to end game without honestly without as much adversity as this one.
Right. Yeah. This one being able to be down and take that mindset and turn it around and say, okay, all that's in the past. We got to move forward, and believing in themselves to get back into that game was great. So yes, 10-10 with like a minute left, and Will Malcolm. I understand he's considered the heartthrob of the team, and women fall weak at the knees whenever they see him walk through. But my gosh, he gets a pass, and he does a juke on the defender, and it was I put in there. It was the juke of the century. He like juked him. The defender falls down. He goes around, shoots, and scores. Oh my gosh, it was crazy.
Yeah, perfect sequence, perfect offensive sequence. The ball was moving. When I got to him, he knew what to do with it. Just went one on one and got the defender on his hind.
Like honestly, probably one of the top plays of the season so far. It was so good, and we were for those of you listening, we had met up at the Boomer Jacks in Fort Worth, and was able to watch it there. And we actually, it's funny side story. There was actually a table next to us that was asking questions about Panther City, and they said later on, like, "Hey, we're gonna get tickets next time they're home." But they were even watching, and they were watching the football game, but they were also keeping an eye on that. So it was kind of cool to be there and in a active atmosphere and see that happen. And then at the end of the game, they pulled their goalie. We did get an empty net goal, so but we ended on a high note. I mean, we ended winning 12-10. Again, I understand the like previous games there was more like complete beginning to end games. This was like you said, it was just a complete turnaround, and it really did something for the team.
I think so. And it was great because, this was really the first game without Chad Cummings after they traded him
Hmm.
for Fox. So it was a good game for Matt Hossack to show out and play well. The defense showed that they believe in the entire team shows that they believe in him as their leader. He
Hmm.
even scored a goal, which is
Yeah.
pretty great to see.
Well, no, and it was good to see a lot. It seemed like there was a lot more people involved in this one. Like
Yes.
obviously you had Will Malcolm with the hat trick. You have your Gaucher with it, his good shots and stuff like that. But it seemed like I think Caputo had a few goals or a few points. Dodds got in there with a point. Um, gosh, there was somebody else.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. Yeah, multiple people had more than 1 point.
Oh yeah,
This is
and it really just kind of showed like, hey, as a full team, we can come together and really put something good together. And Fox did get some playing time. I mean, I know you have the sheet up there. Did he get any points or assists, or was he just kind of in and out on his first game?
I think it was a bit more in and out. He did get 2 shots on goal. I distinctly remember them because he really reared back and kind of surprised the announcers with it as well. And
Right.
he did grab a loose ball. So, not a bad start in limited time. I'm sure as he picks up the offense against integrated, he'll be a bit more active.
For sure, for sure, and we'll see how the season goes with him being integrated into the offense more. But overall, I mean, it was just a fun game to watch. It was great to see Panther City come back like that. Like I said, at halftime, I was kind of worried, but to see them fight back like that. Not to mention, this all happened on the same night that I got to watch Jacksonville fight back from 27 down. It was
Oh
just a
man.
night for comebacks. But yeah, I just thought it was a great game. I mean, overall, what was your thoughts as the game as a whole?
Like you said, it had everything. It's like we got the early lead. The early lead went away pretty quick. And then we kind of saw the same old story where, okay, we're in a big deficit. Chances are each time we score, they're going to score too. So, but can't lose hope. And then by the time the second half starts and everything seems to be clicking for us, we catch up some. Philly score some more goals of their own. And then going into the end of the fourth quarter, tied up with just a minute left, you're thinking, oh, this chances are this is going to go into overtime. Like 60 seconds isn't enough to get anything going, but they proved us wrong not
Hmm.
once but twice,
Right.
and ended up with a 2 goal win. So it was great seeing them deal with a deficit, a lead, being tied late. It just really, I don't remember the quote that Coach TK had. We set the either we set the bar or we set the goal,
So
something
something
along
like
those.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, mm-hmm. And
No,
yeah,
yeah, and they, well, they set the bar. I think it was something like they set the bar, and then you keep striving to go higher than that.
yes, mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, well, some notes from this game. We can't leave this game alone without highlighting at least one player that had kind of a milestone, and that is, of course, last year's rookie sensation, Patrick Dodds. Patrick Dodds, he crossed 100 points. You had mentioned about it last week, and I mean, did he have a goal or an assist or
He had at least 2 assists, if I'm okay. He had 5 points total, so one
okay,
goal and 4 assists. The one that marked 100 was, I believe, it was a hockey assist to Phil Caputo's goal to start the third quarter. I'm pretty
okay.
sure either that one, or the assist soon after that to Will Malcolm is what got him to break the threshold. And I don't know the exact fastest to 100 points in the league, but from everything I've read, Dodds is one of the quickest to reach there.
I mean, you have to think he has to be because I mean, last year was his first full season in the NLL, and we're only what 6 games into this year.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, no, it's hats off to Dodds for reaching that milestone. And then I think you had even put in there too, like another highlight or another, yeah, pretty much a highlight to look at for this game is our penalties.
Yeah, we managed to. I don't know if I should say we kept them down, but they were enough to to offset Philly's penalties. Philly overall, I want to say they had 2 more penalty minutes than us. So yeah, it was kind of weird because there weren't any power play goals at all, which credit to each team's defense when they were down one. But yeah, it kind of, I think it was good long term because it forced us to play really disciplined and execute
Mhm.
well in 5-on-5.
Oh yeah, and again, like you said about, and we've talked about the defense this whole time, but yes, I mean, it seemed like our defense was playing good. Philadelphia's defense was playing good. You cannot
Hmm.
say enough that both sides of the ball on defense, or both teams' defense, was playing really good this game. Well, obviously, coming from that game with a win was a great way to end that weekend. We go now into our segment this week. Of course, it's time for Mr. Andrews' stats of the game. Mr. Andrew?
Well, buckle up. I've got quite a few things to talk about this week. So, one thing that I noticed was after the first half, we had collected 41 loose balls to Philadelphia's 27. So even though we were down 4 goals, you could tell that the activity level was there. And it turns out that we ended up the game with almost 20 more loose balls than them, 78 to 59. That really helped even out the problems we've had with faceoffs this season. And in this game, Trevor Baptiste for Philly, he absolutely killed us on faceoffs, and he grabbed a whole lot of loose balls on his own. So it really was a team effort in going after the Lucies,
Yeah.
because Baptiste was almost like a one-man wrecking crew on faceoffs from what we saw. And we'll cut Burton and Hossack and whoever else was in there a little slack, just because from what everyone was saying, like this guy's an elite faceoff player. So
Right.
winning that loose ball battle by that amount definitely help even out the early loss of possession on those faceoffs. We mentioned before there weren't any power play goals by either team, which is good for us in the sense that you don't want the other team to take advantage of easier points. Damute had a sort of a bounce back game, and well, one, he got to play the entire game and saved 80% of the goals that came his way. He did give up 3 that first quarter, but that was far better than in the game against Rochester, where what was it, like either 5 or 6.
I
And
think
so
five, yeah, five in the first quarter.
yeah, and in the second half, Philly only managed to score 3 goals on him, so he had a really nice game.
I thought he was having a really good year. Obviously, last game didn't play out the way we had hoped, but it was good to see him come back at this game for sure.
Hmm.
Well, yes, thank you for those stats. And obviously, there was a lot of plays of this game, but we will now try to figure out what are our cool cat plays of the game. Andy, what is your cool cat play of this game?
I had 2, maybe 3. One of them does kind of shine above the rest, but the 2. But before I get to the grand play of the game, if you will,
Right.
you know me, I love seeing defenders and transition guys score. So I'd have to go with Matt Hossack's transition goal to tie it up right before halftime was great to see. One, this was his first game as a captain. 2, he doesn't play on this side of the field too often, so to see him be able to score a goal, not just for himself, but to tie it up right before, oh sorry, not halftime, before the fourth quarter,
Before the fourth quarter.
was great. And then Josh Medeiros also had a pretty fun goal. I believe it was in the fourth, where he got the transition point off a nice assist from Connor Sellers, and he kind of hit the
Oh
glass
yeah.
and kind of played the villain to the Philly crowd.
Yeah, I
And
remember. I remember watching that too, and like on the replay, and yeah, the guy in the front row is like, "What the heck just happened?"
mhm. So yeah, that was pretty fun, and got the crowd more agitated, and it's always kind of fun to play villain, especially in a sports city like Philadelphia.
Right.
And then, but the great play of the game, or probably the best one, we went over it earlier, was Will Malcolm juking, I don't remember his first name, but Davis Allen, who's one of Philly's better defenders, and just completely made him fall. And after that, he took advantage and got the goal past their goalie. So
Oh
that's my play
gosh.
of the game.
Like I said, it's a play that we're not gonna soon forget. Yeah, definitely play of the game. I probably would have went with that one too, but also I can't go without saying talking about Damoud's save in the first quarter. Just again, the mindset of I've stopped it, because even we had a goal on their goalie early on where he had stopped it and it kind of like went through his pads and then bounced into the
Hmm.
goal. So obviously that happens sometimes, but I mean, he's just so into the game and so mindful of what's going on around him that like he turns around and he scoops it out before anybody before anything else can happen.
Hmm.
So yeah, hats off to Daymud for that one. Well, awesome. That's our cool cat plays of the game. So we'll go into our big cat players of the game. I'll start on this one. I mean, I have to go with the man of the hour. We've talked about him multiple times already. Will Malcolm. I mean, a hat trick and a pretty much a goal that seals the deal at the end. I mean, he really does have all that in a bag of chips. The man played lights out that night, and it was good to see him get back into his stride. So he is definitely my big cat player of the game.
I am in agreement. Will Malcolm is also my big cat player of the game. He led the team in goals. He had 7 points overall, and he got. I don't think he scored a single goal last week in Rochester. So Rochester definitely keyed in on him. He came out this game aggressive, got 14 shots on goal, collected 6 loose balls, and so you know that he wanted to prove that last week was a fluke. I'm here to dominate.
Oh yeah, and again, they're all young. I mean, this is his third season in the league.
Hmm.
You have Dodds in his second, and then you have Gaucher and Daltonville in their first. So it's still a very young team, but I think that this game kind of showed what you can do with a young team. So, well, any final thoughts going from this game as we leave Philadelphia behind?
Just that man, it felt great to win, and it was on a kind of outside of the game itself. It was great seeing it in a in a community setting with you, and then having the locals next to us asking us like, "Hey, what are you watching? Is that a local team?" And
Right,
getting to talk to them and hear that they're down for going to some games is pretty cool.
for
So yeah.
sure. And I definitely want to let it, again, everybody who's listening here know I would definitely like to do that again. That was fun. It was good to kind of get in there. In fact, it was weird because we had turned our channel to or the TV we were watching to the game, and then we noticed later on when there wasn't any football going on that it was actually playing into the bigger area on
Yeah.
like the
Hmm.
big TV and everything. And we're like, hey, at least the word's getting out there, even if it isn't on there the whole time. Letting people know that it's there, I think is good. And like the people next to us said, they like to support local teams, and
Hmm.
it was kind of cool to have that moment of, hey, there is a local team, and it's a pretty fun sport to watch. So go out to a game.
Absolutely. Yeah. Hopefully we'll be seeing them around come February 11th.
Right, exactly. Yeah, we definitely need to get another watch party together before then. But yeah, final thoughts on this game for me. Yeah, same thing. It was great. It was fun game to watch. It was a great game to get a win on, and I hope it's something that we can continue to ride on. Well, we don't have a game this week. We can kind of touch on the game coming up the week after, towards the end here, but there was another bit of news that literally just happened today. Again, I feel like I need like a breaking news like sound or something like that. Where the TV comes in and the news comes in. But yes, earlier today, as we're recording this, uh, a trade, another trade between Panther City and the New York Riptide. This time, Callum Crawford, a from what I understand, he is what, an 18, 17-year vet.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, and he's somebody who has obviously a lot of experience. Um, and is, I think, another piece to this team that could. It's honestly maybe the piece that they lost with Thompson. That
Yeah,
veteran
that's
experience, and so bringing him in, I think, not remedies it, but it almost fills that void that they've had so far this year.
yeah, that's a great call. And even just looking at their last game against Rochester, Crawford actually led the team in shots on goal. And so it's not like he's some just the locker room presence. He's a guy that still plays a good amount of minutes and has a pretty high activity level when he's out there. So I think he'll be a great balance next to Malcolm, Donville, Gaucher, all the younger guys, and then fellow vets like Caputo as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I just read that. Yeah, 17 years in the league. Obviously, he's gotten around. He's considered, in fact, we even had a fan of the show actually messaged me right after I posted about his trade. And I'll let me look him up. Yeah, I'll give a shout out to him. It was Danny Howard. He's like, yeah, he's considered one of the absolute best out there, and it was good to get him added to the team. So I think it's a good addition. I do, I have a slight worry on how much we gave up for him. I understand he's a good player, but we did give up a couple of our practice squad people, some of our backups, but we also gave around a second round pick in 2024, a second round pick in 2025, and a fourth round pick from 2023 that we acquired from Albany. So it's almost like they gave up those picks, but they also believe in the young pieces that they have now. I mean, what do you think about all that we gave up for him?
Yeah, it is quite a few picks, especially for someone who's I wouldn't necessarily assume he's in the twilight of his career, but like you said, when you look at Donville, Gaucher, Grennan,
Hmm.
Malcolm, all these younger guys, it's really a vote of confidence in what they can do and where the team sees them going in the future.
For sure.
And and on the other side, from what I can tell, New York's kind of going in the opposite direction of us. They're almost having a fire sale of sorts because they've got Jeff Teat, who's reigning rookie of the year and is a great player, but they don't really have their time frame just isn't quite lined up with where Crawford is in his career. So, what with their record being what it is now, they've done him a solid in sending him to Panther City, where we're still in the mix of things in the playoffs. We've got a nice young core and also some savvy vets that can hopefully do some damage in the postseason.
Yeah, and like you said, New York definitely is in. Yeah, I don't want to say fire sale mode, but it almost feels like it. I think we mentioned it earlier. I think they let their manager go, if I
Mm-hmm.
remember right. We obviously had that trade with them last week. We have a trade with them this week. They're they're gearing up for, hey, this season we're just gonna let it pass. And teams do that sometimes. They say to themselves, okay, this year isn't going to be our year, but we can do things now to build towards the future. And that's why they're getting all those picks. That's why they're, a 17-year-old vet. They're like, okay, well, we're going to be in rebuild mode, and maybe the 17-year vet doesn't fit what we need right now.
Mm-hmm.
So,
One thing of note, kind of similar, it did remind me of the Jeremy Thompson trade. I did notice there is another Orleman on New York. His name is Steve Orleman, and it looks like he's the starting goalie for the Riptide. So there might be
oh,
some family ties there, what with Kevin going over there.
right. Well, and even ties, I mean, with getting him from the Riptide to Panther City, I mean, he plays in Oklahoma during the
Hmm.
summer.
Yeah, yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, he definitely has some ties down in the southern states. So I think did you say he plays for like the regular summer league, or who does he?
I'm yeah, I couldn't quite tell if he was a player or a coach of kind of a youth or amateur league down there, but he's definitely involved in. So I imagine he's kind of more familiar with this region of the country.
Right. Well, and even I think he even came out and said like, this transaction is based on a decision for what is best for my family, and I strongly believe the Riptide organization is in the direction that it's going. So, he definitely could see the kind of the writing on the wall, and had probably a little bit of say in where he went. So it's good to see
Hmm.
the team is willing to work with their players at least a little bit going forward. So. Yeah, well, it'll be interesting to see how this addition to the team goes. Obviously, going into a bye week. Um, We'll actually have to have an episode next week, if that's okay, going into a preview for Vancouver. Actually, I had mentioned or put it in the notes. Maybe we might have a good filler episode next week where we can go over maybe something Panther City related, but maybe a little off, or look at the history or something. But either way, we don't have a game this weekend. The next game isn't until Vancouver, and I believe that's on the
Let's see.
20 something. Hold on. This is the 28th, I believe. Yep.
Yes,
So,
yeah, that's right.
So and we'll talk about that too, because Vancouver obviously is coming off of a win, their first win against Las Vegas, which again doesn't say a whole lot right now, early on in the season, but we'll definitely go over that game next time and get a good preview so we can go over their stuff. All right. Well, unfortunately, we are going to have to wrap up today's episode. Um, at the end of the day, it's good to be back on the winning side. It's good to have a winning record again. Honestly, you keep saying it. I can't wait until February 11th. I can't wait until February 11th. Get them back home. Hopefully, we can get a few more wins between now and then. Thank you guys all again for listening. Thank you. This is the Cowtown Cats Lacrosse podcast. I am once again Nicholas.
And I'm once again Andy.
And we'll see you next time.
Cheers.